So we found that there wasn't a lot of information about young adults from 18 to 20 and their understanding of risk perceptions or basic diabetes information. And we know that when people understand if they're at risk for diabetes, they're more likely to do things to prevent it. So we felt like this was an important topic. And we researched this subject through, or we gathered research on this subject through a survey that we distributed on Facebook. And we basically asked young adults to identify risk factors, prevention methods, complications of diabetes when given a list. So we wanted to see how many they could identify, and we also asked them to mark all the sources where they receive information about diabetes. We got 62 total responses, and we had a pretty good mix of education levels and female, male. We didn't have a lot of ethnic diversity, but we found that young adults receive information about diabetes from about 2.7 sources on average, and there wasn't a difference between men and women in the amount of information sources they had. But those with a bachelor's degree or higher did have a few more sources of information about diabetes than people with just some college or below. So here you can see the different responses and how many people said they got information from where. And then as far as identifying diabetes information factors, here you can see the average numbers that were identified from the different categories of factors. And we found that consistently, all of the young adults in the survey were able to identify at least 50% in each category. And there was no difference in this sense between men or women or between the different education levels. And this is good because it's showing that there is no disparities in different subgroups of the population of young adults in their understanding, which is good. And this is also positive because it's showing that young adults do understand or have a basic understanding of diabetes, risk factors, of how they can prevent it, of how serious it is, because we know that this will help them hopefully prevent themselves or their family members from getting this disease later on in life. We found that each of these 3 or 2.7 or 3 sources that where people are getting their information is pretty influential because it's going to be about a third of their information comes from each source. So that was kind of an interesting thing to think about. But overall, we got some good information from this survey showing that young adults do know a lot, and now it's kind of up to society and the public health world to capitalize on this information and help young adults keep preventing this disease so that we can hopefully reduce rates overall.